us, the big star would be the real American voices.
Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
Patriots, welcome to this American Sunrise, live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to see you.
And live here in Denver, Colorado. Nice to see both of you guys as well. Ed, Karyn, good morning.
So the green that you're trying to wear, I see it in the pocket square barely. It's a light green, so it's good. You're keeping it going.
Right, yeah, I'm trying. I am running out of green, though. I thought I had a little bit more green in my wardrobe. There's some specks of green here in this tie, so I tried to pick it up, but well, I don't know if I'm going to make it to Friday, guys. I'm trying. I'm giving it my best, but I don't know if I've got enough.
That's what I was thinking. Is we're just getting to be halfway through the week right now.
Why start this adventure if you don't have a lot of green? I'm just curious. But happy birthday to Goldie Freedom, a.k.a. Julie.
Yes.
You know her?
I do. I do. Her. Born to Ride 45.
Right.
She was responsible for my vest.
So I've been getting notes all night from George Colella, Born to Ride, because Goldie put Karyn's biker vest together. So somehow the Godfather, George, stiffs me on a vest. I don't get a biker vest, but I have to remember to wish Goldie happy birthday. So I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to be of service to the Godfather, George Colella, and Goldie, happy birthday.
Yes, well, the Godfather's the best, and Goldie, too. I mean, the whole group of them. They're rap family.
Absolutely. So happy birthday.
Ed, he didn't stiff you. You just haven't earned your vest yet. Karyn earned her vest.
What it is?
We haven't seen you on the back of a Harley. Karyn, we've seen on the back of a Harley. She's ridden.
Okay,
I haven't seen you on a motorcycle.
I actually drove it.
Did you really?
Well, yeah, well, sort of. There's a picture of me in the driver's seat.
I actually think you were wearing a vest in that.
I was.
You had the Godfather's vest on.
But I didn't get to keep the vest. It was like a borrowed vest. So you get all the perks. That's cool. I appreciate that. Hunter Biden gets all kinds of perks. I'm not comparing you to him directly. But he's supposed to be in court at 10 a.m. Eastern in Delaware. But big news breaking overnight. I don't know if you saw this. So basically, this plea deal could get blown up. We're not getting there yet, guys. Which is that, so the House Ways and Means Committee, which deals with taxes, put together this big report, right? Showing that it's not just what Hunter's pleading to in terms of tax crimes right now, that there's a broader tax scheme and crimes for the Biden crime family with Joe at the center of it, and that it's much bigger. So the House Republicans send this report to the court in recent days. Last night, a lawyer on Hunter's team calls the clerk of the court, where Hunter's going to be this morning in Delaware, and says, I work with the House Republicans, misrepresents who she is, allegedly, and says, we want to pull this report down because it's very damaging, and we made a mistake, or whatever BS they come up with.
Wow.
And the clerk doesn't know and takes this report down. Maybe they didn't want the judge to see that maybe there's more that Hunter should be pleading to. Is this not a bar violation?
This is like a felony. I don't know what a bar violation. I mean, that sounds like complete and total fraud to misrepresent yourself.
Terrance, you're going to get into more details. We're going to have Kash Patel next hour. But if your legal team is this dirty, I mean, what is going on here?
And here's the thing. The judge is considering sanctions against Hunter Biden's legal team.
Yeah.
Now, again, all of this is playing out literally hours before this plea deal is set to be invoked, if you will. And the judge does have some discretion in terms of pulling the plea deal off the table or not necessarily accepting the plea deal. So it's going to be an interesting day there in Delaware as Hunter Biden shows up for court here in about 2 hours from now. And as this judge kind of works through all that has happened within the last 12 to 14 hours to see exactly how she goes about all this.
And what are they hiding? Why do they want to pull that down?
You know what the defining moment for me was? It was the bong on the balcony. That was really, for me, that was like the epitome of just how outlandish
it wasn't the millions of bribes or,
I mean,
those
the cocaine in the White House. I mean, there's a lot to unpack, but for me, that moment, that visual moment, this is the legal team. This is who's representing Hunter Biden. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, we're going to get deeper on all of that. All right, let's put up what Joe did yesterday. I mean, this is like your daily Biden we've been talking about lately, right? So he's at this event, and Karyn, he basically says that he has now ended cancer, which millions of Americans would be quite interested in. Watch.
If you could do anything at all, Joe, what would you do? I said I'd cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We ended cancer as we know it.
We ended cancer as we know it. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
There's so much from yesterday. This is just one of many.
Yeah, we're going to put more clips in tomorrow's show because there's like an embarrassment of riches, Terrance, which is sad because the president spits out so much BS on a daily basis. We can't keep up.
And you know what? One of the things I've noticed in recent weeks is that it sounds to me like he mumbles more. At one point in time, when President Biden spoke, it was pretty clear. You could clearly understand him. Now I find myself straining to kind of make out the words coming out of his mouth because it sounds like he's mumbling a little bit more.
I mean, he should tackle Dimension X.
It's crazy because we played a clip, I think, yesterday with John Solomon and others in terms of what Biden was saying in 19 and 20 in the 2020 campaign. And his voice was much clearer, to your point.
Yeah.
He looked like he was still spewing BS because he was saying I had nothing to do with Hunter's business dealings, to be clear.
I mean,
he was still lying.
I mean, you're a liar. That's in your soul.
But it was a clear
I don't
liar.
think it goes away, even if your cognitive disabilities start to creep in.
Unbelievable. Now, there's another story breaking. Not as important as Hunter and Joe, but to Karyn, I want you to see this. Steve Bannon posted about this last night. So we teased on Monday, this is a massive week for the UFOs. So James Comer just pulled Tim Burchett of Tennessee off this committee investigating UFOs.
But he's been like our new Harry Reid. He's been out there fighting. He's the one guy.
Right.
He's
now,
the one guy.
So allegedly, I guess Burchett called the Pentagon officials war pimps or something, and I guess the Pentagon freaked out. They pressured Comer. He's pulling Burchett aside. But now he and Anna Paulina Luna, who have been pushing on the UFOs, are saying they might not just worry about what happens in Washington. They're going to go do a field hearing somewhere because they're saying they have these whistleblowers who say the Pentagon's been covering up UFO activity for years.
There's all sorts of stuff that's been coming out. I mean, some of it sounds a little outlandish, but, I think we're finally going to get to the bottom of something here.
Well, but they're trying to block it again. The swamp.
But why do you think they want to take him out? Are they covering something up?
This is a Republican in Comer taking out another Republican. It's just like, what is the deal?
I don't know.
What are they hiding? For real, what are they hiding?
I'm not going to mention the double entendre that all of this sounds somewhat outlandish and we're talking about UFOs. That's a good one right there alone, if you didn't catch that. But you know what? The good news is that Republicans in Congress are now getting out all this information to the public that, to your point, Karyn, does sound outlandish. Even this Hunter Biden stuff, who'd ever thunk it? Like, it sounds outlandish, but we are now aware of all of these things happening, and it's thanks to this Republican majority in Congress.
It's insanity. It really is. I mean, the UFOs are the most logical thing that we're discussing here for the most part.
Right? And it's like, so try that in the swamp, you'll get away with it. But try it in a small town, you ain't getting away with it. Jason Aldean.
Nice.
That was good.
Nice. That was
very
really
good. Thank you. Oh, all right. I'm gonna see myself out. How about that? I can't improve on that. No, seriously.
Mic drop.
Jason Aldean, try that in a small town. Expected to reach #1 this week's Billboard Hot 100. That's something we've been aiming for, and I got to say that 81 million votes did great with it. Over 150,000 pure sales and downloads and whatnot for a second consecutive week. I mean, this guy is killing it, and rightly so, because so many people have rallied behind him, guys.
It's great. It's such a good song, too. And it's so where we are as a country. It's just such a moment in history.
It's incredible. Now, prayers, though, for LeBron James, his family, because they're not going to make light of this. This is a very serious situation. Bronny James, this is one of his sons who is now at USC, expected to be a major NBA prospect. He went into cardiac arrest in a workout, guys, and this is serious, serious stuff. People are already jumping to conclusions about being vaxxed and boosters. I don't want to cast aspersions. I just want to say, in general, that, and I think he's 18. Look at the shape he's in. He's in incredible shape. He's at USC. This did not happen to 18-year-old young men. And I've been texting with my son, who's 22, who, he was at a university and had to be vaxxed. And, let's just say he's watching all this saying, what's going on with people his age who are in great shape? He's concerned.
Tragic. It really is. It's scary.
And the fact that he collapsed due to some sort of heart issue, they're saying it's cardiac arrest. That's just not something that traditionally we have seen in an 18-year-old kid. Cardiac arrest in an 18-year-old kid, particularly someone that fit. And it, of course, raises questions. And understandably, I could see why your son would be concerned. That's basically someone in his own age group, and he's seeing this happen. And unfortunately, we're seeing this sort of thing happen more and more.
He was texting me yesterday, and Bronny lost consciousness, was taking code 3 lights and sirens, as they describe it, to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center out there in Los Angeles. I mean, it's serious. Then we put up from the Sun over in Europe. You know soccer better than we do. Chris Bart Williams is dead at 49, ex-Premier League soccer star. Passed away one of the darkest days in Nottingham Forest history. I mean, we played this clip of the retired soccer star who collapsed, who's now the ESPN commentator. Look at this guy. He's in great health, or appearance of great health.
Just see it again and again and again.
But I do want to say, so yesterday we played this clip from Ted Nugent. A lot of viewers responded who are vaxxed. They were insulted, let's just be honest, because they feel like, okay, Uncle Ted was saying that you're sheep if you did this. And I think we should be honest about this conversation. He was referring, I think, and he can speak for himself, he's got a loud voice, about these government officials who lied to so many people. But look, there are a lot of people in our audience who were vaxxed because Donald Trump started Operation Warp Speed. Let's be honest. Government officials lied about the impact and covered up, the Pfizer documents that Dr. Wolf and others have talked about. And so I think, this is a conversation that's been delayed because the mainstream media won't even admit that there's a problem. And we're one of the only folks who actually talk about it. But I do want to be sensitive. There are people in our audience who are vaxxed who say, look, I'm not a sheep. I'm not part of the sheep. And I get it. I agree. But they were pressured. They might have had a job where they had to do it, Karyn. And I think we've got to understand that this is a very complicated issue.
I mean, this is Ted Nugent, too. So let's all, he's got a personality. He's outspoken. He's edgy. So I think being insulted by it would be, maybe just counterproductive. We were all in a moment where we didn't know what we were dealing with. And I've said on the show I was not vaccinated, but I thought about if my circumstances were different and my parents were still alive and I was taking care of 2 elderly people, I would have been the first one in line.
Yeah.
And I made the point yesterday as someone who is vaccinated that based on the information we had at the time, and I suspect for many Americans this is the case, based on the information we had, we made the most informed decisions that we could. Now, it turned out for some of us that it wasn't the best decision. But again, based on the information at the time and based on the narrative from the government, people made decisions that they considered to be informed decisions. And it's just a shame. And I think that's really the larger conversation that our government passed along misinformation or wasn't fully sincere in all of the information that it provided the public about these vaccines.
Yeah, they're still not being honest.
I was thinking about you yesterday because you were talking about your intuition was like speaking to you that you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway. I think a lot of people push through that way.
Absolutely. We also want to get to the bottom of what is going on with Hunter. What is, all of these tax crimes we're talking about, whatnot that we led the show with. But you can't really have real investigations, and now McCarthy's talking about a potential impeachment, when you've got Democrats who won't even admit a problem. So this is a clip from Crazy Nancy, who basically is asked about, the hearing last week. There's so many different hearings about Biden and the tax crimes and the whistleblowers. She says it's a clown show because she then refers to the RFK Jr. hearing on weaponization. But that was a different hearing, and she calls them by the wrong name. So she can't even keep up with the Kennedys, let alone the investigations. Watch.
This past week, 2 IRS whistleblowers, career investigators, testified under oath that the Justice Department slow-walked the investigation into President Biden's son, Hunter, and ignored recommendations to file more serious felony charges. Are you confident the politics did not play a role here?
Well, it was, since you referenced the hearing, what a ridiculous clown show, again, on the part of the Republicans. Here was a purpose that you described. What do? Bring in Joe Kennedy talking about censorship, that he's being censored as he's talking to the world in a congressional hearing, and showing pictures that had nothing to do with the essence of it.
I think you mentioned Robert F. Kennedy, but on the essence of it.
I'm sorry, just
that's okay.
Robert
there are a lot of Kennedys.
So she talks about the wrong hearing with the wrong Kennedy. Joe Kennedy was testifying. It's Robert F. Kennedy. She can't even keep up. How old is she?
It's pretty confusing.
Oh, yeah, crazy Nancy. You know what? It could look like the blind leading the blind sometimes. Let's go to A13, guys. This is something that's recycled. I think this was a while ago. But this is, we didn't play this enough. This was Joe Biden with a blind person nearby. Look at the blind person getting around easier than Joe. Watch.
Where am I? Right here, sir. I'm right here. Okay, here, boss. Let's go over here. Okay, why don't you turn around to your right? Hey, folks, how are you?
Blind leading the blind?
Yeah. I mean, that was very telling.
Terrance?
You know, those are campaign videos right there for first of all, any Democrat running against Joe Biden, but definitely in the general. All you have to do, you don't even need to focus on the issues. Just play these sorts of video and say, is this who you want to lead you? Is this somebody who you want to have the finger on the red button?
I agree. Speaking of leadership, you asked whether or not I've ever been on a Harley. Here you go. George Colella just sent this in The Godfather. So, Terrance, I accept your apology. This was when we were at...
this was at Conservative Grounds.
Near
in
Largo, Florida.
This was the second time we did the show there.
And there's George in the background. There's The Godfather. Shout out to him.
Did you drive the Harley?
Anyway, let's move on.
He says anyway. Let's. Wow. Okay. Well, all right. I'll accept your apology, Ed.
Yeah, there you go. I can't ride a motorcycle. I'm not good like that. Let's go down the rabbit hole with Karyn. We got a good one. So we often go down the rabbit hole, UFOs, but fashion is also one of your fortes, yes. I would say, right? And so can Kim Kardashian save your life is my question.
I don't know. This is a very, very interesting story.
So she has a product called Skims, and here's this woman who says that she was shot 4 times, but she was wearing Kim Kardashian's Skims, which I assume is either a garment or an undergarment.
It's an undergarment. It holds everything in. Sometimes you need a little zhushing.
Like
you gotta, smooth everything out.
Are they similar to Spanx?
They are like Spanx, yes. Wow.
Terrance,
your knowledge is good of women's undergarments. Good to know.
What was the word? Zhushing? What is it?
Zhushing.
Zhushing. Okay. Here's a soundbite.
Kim Kardashian saved my life.
TikTok creator Angelina Wiley claims that Kim Kardashian's Skim shapewear saved her life. According to KCTV, the 22-year-old was shot 4 times after being caught in a spray of gunfire while waiting for a lift in Kansas City on New Year's Day. She suffered a ruptured bladder and a cracked pelvis, but claims a Skims bodysuit under her dress helped minimize her injuries and save her life by putting pressure on her wounds.
It was so tight on me that it literally kept me from bleeding out.
After the video went viral, Kim posted a clip on her Instagram story with the caption "Wow" accompanied with the praying hands emoji. Plus, the TikTok creator shared that Skims had given her a discount and a refund for the item in a follow-up video. Wiley says the bodysuit is, quote, like body armor for women. She also shares her journey as she navigates life after the shooting and is raising money for medical bills on her GoFundMe page.
Is this body armor for women? Can Kim Kardashian save your life?
And listen, here's the thing. She gets a refund on what she bought and a discount. You think Kim Kardashian, with all her money, would be like, hey, let me give you Skims for the rest of your life. How many Skims do you need?
Right.
But yes, actually, there is some truth to this.
All right.
Believe it or not, the compression probably did help.
All right.
So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Skims saved your life.
Wow. When you say it tucks it all in, that's got to be super duper tight. That it's that tight and there's that much compression to kind of keep the blood. Right. I find that fascinating. I do. I admit it. I find it fascinating. That's interesting.
All right. That's why we put it out there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to Jesus Calling. I think we need that now.
Probably. Relax and let me lead you through this day. I have everything under control. My control. You tend to peer anxiously into the day before you, trying to figure out what to do and when. Meanwhile, the phone or the doorbell rings and you have to reshuffle your plans. All that planning ties you up in knots and distracts you from me. Attentiveness to me is not only for your quiet time, but for all your time. As you look to me, I show you what to do now and next. And and this comes from Psalm 32:8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. I will counsel you and watch over you.
All right. A beautiful way to get this day going. Terrance, I know you got a couple headlines.
Yeah, let's just get something on the board here. Speculation is swirling around what caused the shocking collapse of basketball phenom Bronny James during a practice. The son of basketball star LeBron James is said to be doing well this morning after suffering cardiac arrest on Monday. The 18-year-old was rushed to the hospital and by Tuesday was listed in stable condition. Bronny is the second USC freshman, basketball player to suffer a heart attack while practicing. Just over a year ago, the same thing happened to Vince Iwuchukwu, who returned to the court about 6 months later. More testing is reportedly planned to help determine what happened to King James's heir apparent. That's a quick headline. We'll have more coming up here in a little bit, guys.
All right, appreciate that. I see Ravbod 1. A lot of people in the live Getter chat already saying, Karyn, explaining before I ask the question. So I think you explained the skims quite well. And Sean Lucas in the chat says, results may vary. And I think that's probably true.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, our friend Terrance Evans will come in. He is somebody who is a big advocate for the J6 prisoners. And he's got a brand new legal filing revealing more problems at the FBI right after this.
Is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Right now.
81 million votes. Download and stream today. And make sure that you're casting American Sunrise and all this other great programming at Real America's Voice on your old television with a new device, right? You can cast it. That's what the kids do.
Yeah, that's what
you
they
cast
do.
it from your device, your phone, and then you stream it.
That's what Shug Henry does because he's
cool.
I do. He does what the cool
exactly.
kids do.
You know what's funny is I tried to get a credit card that said Shug Henry. I was going to bring it on the show.
Out?
The person at the bank laughed and said, "I'm going to do this," and then the card arrived, and someone at Chase overrode what she did and said, "His name's not Shug." They must have checked it. They didn't give me the card. I'm so mad. I went back to the bank yesterday, and she laughed at me. should say they blocked it. Anyway, let's look at this real quick. Super 70s Sports is a fun account. Finally, a strip mall that can handle your complete descent to rock bottom. So look at this strip mall from back in the day. Bankruptcy, divorce, and liquor.
That's perfect.
They're all back to back to back. Like, who came up with this strip mall?
That's great. That's great. I mean, it's a full-stop shop there.
One-stop shop. There you go. The headlines are sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Terrance, feel free to weigh in on that shopping center, but people in the live chat right now in Getter, very interested in your knowledge of women's undergarments. And Ravbod1 says she's very interested in Kim Kardashian and says she's looking into Skims. Craig says this is a girdle by a different name. But Southern City says, Karyn, do you think they'll ever tell the public how much they paid this woman? So do you think it is possible that the Kardashians got this woman to say, hey, my life was saved by the Kardashians?
I mean, this woman was shot 4 times.
Well, right.
I don't actually think in this case I mean, that's a possibility in many of these TikTok situations. But was she really shot?
I don't know. Did you go down the rabbit hole?
I'll make sure. Okay. On the break, I'll go down the rabbit hole a little bit.
All right. Thank you.
All right, let's get to a couple of quick headlines here really quickly, guys. While first son Hunter Biden is on the wrong side of the law and scheduled to answer to a tax fraud and gun charge later this morning, his lawyers are also facing accusations of misconduct and could be sanctioned during today's hearing for Hunter. The judge, who is set to review the younger Biden's plea deal today, is accusing a member of Hunter's legal team of misrepresenting herself in a phone call to the court. U.S. District Court Judge Mary Ellen Norica claims that an employee at Latham & Watkins law firm called the court clerk's office and falsely claimed to work for a Republican lawyer in order to persuade the clerk to remove documents from Hunter Biden's court file that contained the first son's personal tax information and other damning information. The documents in question had been submitted to the court earlier on Tuesday as part of an amicus brief by House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith of Missouri, who was raising questions about the Hunter Biden plea deal being too lenient. The Biden law firm is denying any wrongdoing, saying the employee identified herself as a Latham staffer and called from a law firm phone, which typically shows up on caller ID. In the meantime, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer and Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene are pushing for answers and further investigation into allegations that Hunter Biden sexually exploited prostitutes and used payments to them as tax write-offs for one of his companies. Taking to Twitter, the committee announced its latest probe into the first son in this letter to the National Human Trafficking Coordinator and the Director of the Office for Victims of Crimes. Comer and MTG write, there must be equal justice under the law, even if your last name is Biden. The letter argues that the Department of Justice ignored its own policies in pursuing tax charges against Hunter. It also says the committee is concerned that the DOJ, quote, disregarded the victims who were sexually exploited by Hunter Biden. Recent testimony from the IRS whistleblowers is offered up as evidence for that claim. Quote, we seek to analyze legislation that penalizes federal prosecutors who do not uphold victims' rights regardless of the defendant's last name or political affiliation and ensure that funds designated for victim-related programs are used appropriately by the DOJ. As the National Human Trafficking Coordinator and Director of the Office of Victims of Crimes at DOJ, you bear responsibility to ensure victims, including women Hunter Biden allegedly sexually exploited, receive their statutory rights, they write in this letter. The legal troubles surrounding the first son and allegations of President Biden being complicit in Hunter's alleged influence peddling scheme have more and more Republicans jumping on the Biden impeachment train. Even House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is saying that it's about that time. However, while Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz believes that a Biden impeachment is long overdue, he says he just doesn't have confidence in Speaker McCarthy to follow through on that. We, of course, shall see. That's going to do it for your headlines. Now, let's get you back to Ed and Karyn.
All right, so some breaking news. I want to get to Trennis because it's very important to talk J6. Do you want to hold the breaking news on Kim?
I mean, I can hold the breaking news on Kim. I mean, there's a bunch to unpack here. We got some updates on
the Skims.
Yeah.
So hold that thought. In the next block, we'll have some time, actually.
Okay.
We've got Carolyn Ryan coming up. We got Vernon Jones coming up. We got a lot of big news coming out of Georgia. So we'll do that in the next block.
Okay.
So there's more details on the Skims. Terrance, appreciate you as always.
We're digging into the skims. Okay.
We're digging into the skims. Yeah, sort of. Not literally. Let's bring in our friend Terrance Evans in all seriousness. He is running and founder of Condemned USA. He's an advocate for J6 prisoners and a lot of people who are targeted by this government and weaponized DOJ. Terrance, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, Ed. Good morning, Karyn. Thanks for having me again.
Great to have you. You've got some new information we're going to get to in a minute, but I want to put this up because not enough people, pretty much nobody in the mainstream media will talk about this. The Epic Times. Security footage undermines key claims in the original police report in the death of Rosanne Boyland on January 6th. Now, this was a Trump supporter, and this is one of the folks the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about, the Capitol Police doesn't want to talk about. And basically, this is previously unreleased Capitol Police closed-circuit TV footage that you're seeing. And it adds crucial new details to her tragic death. She was a 34-year-old woman, Karyn. Kennesaw, Georgia is where she was from. Died after collapsing outside the Lower West Terrace. The security video deflates claims made in the initial police report that she simply collapsed in the Capitol Rotunda. So the government was lying about this.
Oh, well, and we knew this when they put all of the people in jail that surrounded this woman that were witnesses to how she died. They arrested all of them, pretty much.
Terrance, what do you think about this new information? Because I know it's not new to you in some ways because you've been digging into this for a long time. But talk to our viewers about the significance, sir.
Well, the significance of this is, sadly, we've been reporting on this and bringing this to the public attention with a massive outcry. People like Gary McBride, David Summerall over at Stop Hate. We have been putting this in the media for near 2 years now about the events that surrounded Rosanne Boyland's death. We talked about Ronald Colton Maccabee, one of the people that is still indefinitely detained, that was a police officer in Tennessee, a sheriff's deputy, that rendered aid to Rosanne Boyland, that many people there attempted to render aid. And it was what happened when those events occurred, what happened to Rosanne Boyland when she was savagely beaten. We've seen the video of Lila Morris and what happened as Rosanne's laying there unconscious. We've seen Tommy Tatum's reporting. We've seen so many people bring this to light, bring this to public evidence. Yet, where is the interest in this? Where is the fact that people have actually witnessed the death of Rosanne Boyland on the Capitol steps? It was misreported, or an absolute fraudulent lie, in my opinion, to her family. I mean, this is insanity. And then we know that this is not an isolated event about the lies surrounding the deaths of January 6th. We have Kevin Greason, we have Benjamin Phillips, we have Ashley Babbitt, the well-known death, and then many suicides that have been subsequent to the event. What about those events? And yet here we are, still living in an idea or in a realm as though January 6th is one-sided narrative that has been created and pushed forward by the legacy media and the January 6th Select Committee with judicial notice serving from the courts that this is all fact and it's just the way the government said it happened. But as events have told us throughout history, it's never just the way the government says it happens. And I just remember Terrance just saying, well, based on information we had at the time with COVID. Right. And here we are,
Here we are. And they shamed this poor woman, too. They said things about her being in recovery and said all of these things. And meanwhile, this person died.
Yeah.
And look how far out we are, how much time has passed.
And her life matters.
Totally.
Just as Ashley Babbitt and the others who died that day. And, it's just they lied and lied and lied. You wonder what they've been covering up this long. We've got just a couple minutes. So I want to get to the new information you flagged for me earlier this week. And we haven't had a chance to get you on until this morning. You have a new legal filing from Condemned USA about maybe more FBI wrongdoing. What have you found?
Well, the courts have laid out very great parameters. They say this is your conditions of probation, and you have to report all communication with law enforcement. Senior FBI agents who develop confidential informants or confidential human sources are well aware of the rules of the game and how they are to play them, essentially, when they're dealing with sources. I was asked, and I've alleged, and I've made this statement very clear, that the FBI tried to coerce, bribe, extort me into working for them illegally off the books in March when I went to pick up my property that was seized from my home on March 4th of 2021. I was in utter shock and disbelief. I was very stressed about this situation. I immediately contacted my attorney and said, this is what just happened. And he was shocked. He said, I've never heard of anything like this. They're telling you to come work for them off the books. So we made a very detailed account of the event. I contacted my probation officer at that time and notified him of what happened because I am on probation for knowingly entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds on January 6th. This is what I'm trying to tell people. This is what many people are trying to tell the people of America, that we have experienced this insane injustice. You witnessed an ill-formed committee with malignant ideologies that have been spread throughout the courts, that have been spread throughout the DOJ. And I don't believe that everybody's nefarious in their actions, but I think many people have bought into this, including the courts. It is time for a reconciliation of what has happened with January 6th and the defendants, and to include the Roseanne Boylans and the Ashley Batts and the Kevin Greasons, the Benjamin Phillips, and the nobodies, the Trennis Evans, the protester with a megaphone saying, don't harm, don't break, don't damage, don't be violent. And these things have continued to occur under the nose of the American people, and the outrage is growing. And I'm wondering when the courts are actually going to make somebody on the other side of this be accountable for what's happened here.
Absolutely. It's time for accountability.
Yeah, way too much time has passed.
And Trennis, by the way, has been helping us behind the scenes and making sure that we get money that was raised by Donald Trump and the J6 prison choir out to actual J6 families. We're in the process of that. We're going to talk to Kash Patel, in fact, at the top of next hour about some of those efforts. Yeah. But Trennis, I want the world to know that you're somebody who behind the scenes has been working tirelessly to help these J6 families, and we're going to continue to engage you. But go ahead, quick thought.
And I'm honored to work with the likes of you and Tom and Kash and Tom being part of that and be able to serve the interest of the January 6th community that is a largely marginalized group. Agreed that we all have made that many events of the people of January 6th should be held to account for what they did. But let's be realistic that, grandma walking around with a cell phone inside the Capitol should not be sitting in prison. And many of the people that have been extorted and had been through the experiences, people like myself, this is insanity, and I've urged people to read this 25-page court filing.
Where can we find it, by the way?
So it's available. It's in the article. It's at the bottom of the article, all 25 pages of what happened and the detailed account. Now, all this was on record. The FBI is aware of all of this, and the court is aware of all of this, and I'm waiting. When is the truth going to come out? When is there going to be actual justice? We're all waiting. If I must be held to account, so must those that have broken the law in their efforts.
Absolutely. God bless you.
Yep, trying to keep it up. Well, we have a call scheduled for this afternoon, in fact, to follow up on the J6 families. So I will see you later. Trennis, we'll take a quick break. Coming up, Carolyn Ryan from Georgia. There's yet another grand jury ready to indict Donald J. Trump. We'll get into it and the political fallout, what might actually help the president right after this. wonder what that's like. White House investigations that get shut down. Ask Hunter. Where's Hunter? That's what Donald Trump kept saying in the last campaign, and no one wanted to answer. Now we know why. There's tax crimes, gun crimes, maybe drug crimes as well. Meanwhile, we got some breaking news out of New York. This just came into us that a crane, I guess, fell and pummeled another building. Let's show this video. It's pretty dramatic and scary. You think about walking through the streets of New York City and how often you could just be strolling. Look at that. That's a lot. So we don't know. Is there an article yet? I know you said you had a tear out from the New York Times, perhaps. Obviously, we all hope and pray that there was not someone beneath that, although in New York City, there's people walking up and down the streets. And that crane, one would imagine, weighs a lot. And even if it was not the whole crane, it was just a piece of it, there's some steel coming in hot. And that's pretty scary this morning. So we'll get more details on that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully nobody was hurt.
Absolutely.
I mean, just think about walking there.
I'm seeing people on social media talking about it, and thus far they're not talking about. So they're calling it a catastrophe right there in Hell's Kitchen, which is more on the west side of Manhattan. But I'm not seeing in that headline, so we'll keep digging as to whether there were any injuries or, God forbid, anything worse than that. But boy, oh boy, then it hits the other building. But the scariest part is, I believe, if I caught it right, that
look at all the debris. I mean, there's like pieces of it went in all different directions.
Coming in hot there, and there's cars. People are running, as you see on the bottom left. There. So we'll get on top of that. We also want to talk about one of our great sponsors, which is the Wellness Company. You can go and check them out online. twc.health/RAV. You see those big, beautiful supplements. Dr. McCullough's Healthy Heart and Muscle, which I took this morning, as well as spike support in the middle, because you want to deal with those spike proteins. I do it at home. Karen does it at work.
I'm going to do it right now.
There you go. And make sure you're doing it as well. twc.health/. There's the cap. And you'll get 10% off. In the meantime, let's bring in our friend Carolyn Ryan. She's live in the great state of Georgia this morning. Good morning, Carolyn. We keep hearing more and more noise that this is maybe going to be RICO charges against President Trump, maybe some of his associates, yet another indictment potentially coming against the former president. What do you know this morning? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, any day now we're hearing drip, drip, drip. So we know the Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has been teasing potential criminal charges against President Trump for months now for allegedly trying to overturn Georgia's election results in 2020. We've been anticipating this indictment to come kind of early to mid-August timeframe. Well, now we're learning more about what the charges may potentially be. So some media outlets have been reporting in recent days that Fani Willis is going to go after Trump and possibly some of his allies for racketeering. Yes, that's the same racketeering you normally associate with organized crime involving the mafia, but it can be used in other ways, in other forms. It is a strategy that Willis has successfully used in the past to prosecute other high-profile crimes. She's reportedly going to formally accuse Trump of influencing witnesses and computer trespassing, among other things. So the influencing of witnesses charge, that will likely stem from that now infamous phone call where then President Trump asked Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to, quote, find 12,000 votes needed to overturn that narrow loss to Joe Biden. Of course, the intent of that request was totally subjective, which leads many legal experts to acknowledge how fundamentally weak this investigation has been from the very beginning. Now, at that time, you may remember there were credible allegations of fraudulent votes being cast in Georgia's elections, and those allegations were and are still actively being investigated. And then that computer trespassing charge, well, should she pursue that, that is likely going to stem from a situation in Coffee County, Georgia, in which Trump's ex-lawyer, Sidney Powell, allegedly coordinated to have several individuals copy the election data from the Dominion machines down there in Coffee County. So this has been an ongoing saga for more than 2 years now. Willis opened an investigation into Trump as soon as she took office back in 2021, as soon as she was sworn in, and she has been pursuing this relentlessly. ever since. Now, Donald Trump's attorneys have tried to have Willis disqualified from prosecuting this case, even as recently as this month, filing an amendment for showing bias against Trump throughout this entire process. She's made certain inappropriate comments and posts on social media, and attorneys for Trump allege that Willis has utilized her position as DA here, and she's utilized this investigation into President Trump to raise campaign funds and to increase her following on Twitter. So far, those attempts from Trump's attorneys have not been successful, but they are alleging some real bias here, which isn't a far stretch of the imagination. We've seen this play out before in other cases.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you say RICO, all I can think is about what's happening in the White House right now.
Right. Is there not a criminal enterprise? How is it that Joe and Hunter...
Millions of dollars.
Absolutely. Continue to skate. Carolyn, why don't you stay right there? Because we're going to bring in our friend and your friend, Vernon Jones. And if you have a question for him, you can jump on in as well. Vernon joins us this morning live. Vernon, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning, Ed, Karen. How are you guys doing?
All right, good. We got Carolyn Ryan here as well. She laid out pretty well. It sounds like a dirty prosecutor to me. What do you know from hailing from the great state of Georgia about this case and whether it might boomerang, as we've seen with other indictments against Donald Trump, that it might actually end up helping him politically, sir?
Well, you remember, this is a special purpose grand jury. It didn't have indictment powers, although they can use a testimony to come back and do an indictment on you. There's nothing that President Trump did with that telephone call that should or warrants an indictment. Maybe there's someone else from the grand jury that could have given what we call conflicting testimony that they use, of course, as a way of saying that someone lied to the grand jury. But I think it's going to stem more from the grand jury testimony as opposed to a direct indictment on President Trump.
Yeah, and it just seems like they're just throwing these. I was just going to, Carolyn, they just throw these things out again and again, and it just seems like there's just no recourse on the other side.
Yeah, no, and two, I want to ask Vernon to get your take. So, I mean, we saw Fani Willis replace Howard, who was there before her. A lot of people had high hopes for Fani Willis. We know crime has been out of control the past few years in the Atlanta area. What's your take on Fani Willis? I mean, did you have kind of high hopes for her? And what's your thoughts on her kind of immediately going after Trump? I mean, she's been like focused like a laser on Trump for the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're right, Carolyn. There was a lot of high hopes for her when she replaced the former DA, Paul Howard. But what you've seen her do is take on cases that give her seem to be like visibility to high-profile cases. As a matter of fact, she cannot even sit at this point a grand jury going after those rappers that she's pursuing. This has been a headline grabber. You know, the left has been feeding her, the liberal media has been feeding her ego, and she's been dragging this out. This is more about publicity for her. While you're right, when you look at crime that's happening in Atlanta, a number of cases that she has not brought to court, a number of trials that she should have already been with, she hasn't.
Yeah, that's a great point at the end there from both of you. I mean, what about the crime we see, the problems in Atlanta and Georgia itself and Fulton County, and they're going after Donald Trump, right? It's the same old song. It's like Alvin Bragg in Manhattan going after old charges against Trump. That was the first indictment. And Manhattan's a mess. And the DA should be dealing with crime and other issues.
I mean, Georgia, just all of the election fraud, none of those crimes were prosecuted, and yet here we are.
We saw it in 2000 mules. Quick final point, Vernon.
Yeah, quickly too, Ed. You know, she's gotten out there so far on that limb because she's been saying, oh, there's going to be something here. She's got to come up with something. This is to save her face. She's going to have to indict somebody. And again, I believe it's going to be more one of the witnesses based on their testimony. And I say conflicting testimony because if they want A and B comes in and gives a lie and A tells the truth, they're going to say B is lying. B is telling the truth and A is lying. And so I think Rudy Giuliani, I think President Trump are going to be fine, but I think there are going to be some that they are really going to try to have or save face to say, hey, we didn't just waste taxpayers' dollars.
Right. So it's about saving face and covering their political backsides instead of the truth and actual justice. Vernon, Carolyn, we appreciate your reporting and analysis. Thank you both. In the meantime, quickly, appreciate you and Carolyn as well. Updating that story out of New York, it looks like at least 2 people are injured with this crane coming down A firefighter was injured, so we want to get more details on that. Miranda Khan sent this in, and we appreciate that, as well as, I believe, a civilian who was walking down the street. Both injured. We don't know the severity of the injuries.
Yeah, prayers going out.
Absolutely. So we'll stay on top of that story. We'll also bring in the resistance chick after a quick break. I think maybe they might want to weigh in on this Kim Kardashian story. What are they called? Skims?
Skims.
Did Kim Kardashian's Skims save a woman's life? The ladies weigh in next.
You failed to build back better. Your middle finger to middle class.
They've pissed off an already pissed off woman.
81 million votes my ass.
Bad for you, bruh. I got 46 problems, but the truth ain't one. Hit me.
46 problem. The truth is certainly not one at Real America's Voice. You hear the truth right here at Real America's Voice. Shout out to the Zen Master and the whole team. And you've got a shout out to a viewer at Real American Voice.
Yeah, Alan Molosky. I want to give him a shout out. Just got back from Jersey, watches the show every day, and he said great information on the cover-up on January 6th.
Absolutely. And shout out to Terrance Evans, who is a J6er himself. He went through, that was persecuted by this government. Now he's standing up for others. We appreciate that. Let's get to Stay Awake, Not Woke. This is simply the best coffee. That's right. No burnt soy or liberal tears here like you'll find at Starbucks. Beardvet.com. You're going to get 10% off with that promo code RAV. You also can get their big, beautiful energy drink, but I think Colin, our team, is so obsessed with it now that he took it away. So I don't have it today.
Oh.
So I can't pump it into my water because he's pumping it into his Red Bull. So he's getting the double energy.
Well, I have to say,
that's what Zen Jr. does.
Really been on it. Our team has been elevated the last 2 weeks, and I think it might actually be the energy drink.
They're giving their A game, and I think they're energy independent, like we were under Donald Trump because of the Beard Vet energy drink. How about that?
Yes, stay awake, not woke.
All right, let's bring in the resistance checks. We're going to have Terrance along for the ride as well. Ladies, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Now, I know that we've been getting to a lot of serious news. I don't want people to jump on me in the live chat. But we also are covering the fact that apparently Kim Kardashian might have saved someone's life. Do you know what Skims are?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so they're like an undergarment, and ladies, Karyn explained it to all of us earlier. Here's a video from this lady who says she was shot 4 times, and Karyn has more information on that, by the way, and we'll get to that. Here's this lady's story.
Kim Kardashian saved my life.
TikTok creator Angelina Wiley claims that Kim Kardashian's Skim shapewear saved her life. According to KCTV, the 22-year-old was shot 4 times after being caught in a spray of gunfire while waiting for a in Kansas City on New Year's Day. She suffered a ruptured bladder and a cracked pelvis, but claims a Skims bodysuit under her dress helped minimize her injuries and save her life by putting pressure on her wounds.
It was so tight on me that it literally kept me from bleeding out.
After the video went viral,
lady, look at that. Look at how they reacted. They're like, wait, did that really happen? What's your reaction? And then Karyn will have more details. What do you think?
Okay.
Is it a lie? Are they marketing?
I think this story is incredibly believable because when you see these Skims, what they do is they literally will take you from 38 inches to 28. I don't know how it does it. Some sort of witchcraft. So there must have been some sort of witchcraft going on. But I actually believe this story.
Absolutely.
Kind of makes me want to get some.
Are you going past the blanket of bullets sometimes?
You never know.
You never know, yes. That's another reason.
Well, and all this can be yours because she had on the Sculpt Thong bodysuit. For those of you that were interested in the chat, it is $68. It is still available, so you too can wear this in case of a shooting. But I have to say, earlier Ed said, well, what if this is marketing? Yep. And my initial reaction was like, no, like this lady was shot. But then I did a little digging. And she does call herself a content creator, so that, there's that.
Red flag.
Yeah. And then, she was shot back in January, so this was a New Year's shooting. And this is 22 years old. She was out at a bar. This is why I tell my kids, nothing good happens after midnight. This happened at 1:30 in the morning. And in the actual first article that I wrote, it didn't say anything about 4 times. It said she was shot. It was non-life-threatening injuries.
Because I was wondering. She looks very healthy for someone shot 4 times.
Yeah.
She like a lot of shots.
This video came out in May. She came forward and said, I have now had this revelation. It was the Sculpt Thong bodysuit that saved my life. So, I mean, for $68, I think it's worth getting one anyway.
Yeah, just to be safe. And by the way, RavMod1 in the live chat and Getter keeps telling people, I'm too busy right now shopping for Skims for protection. So she won't answer any other questions. Terrance, quick thought from you, and then we'll let the ladies round it up.
Ladies, I'm just going to yield to you. I find all of this fascinating, quite honest.
My mind goes to, guys aren't supposed to know about these things.
Exactly.
You're just supposed to think that you're perfectly slim, you got the hourglass figure, and then unfortunately, you might have to have a contract like, please disclose the undergarments that you wear.
Not
do you really look that way?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Do you really look that way? Are you really that slim? But no, you have to say, I have to. Because this is a life,
I have to wear this
my life.
To protect my life from all of my enemies that might want to shoot me.
Well, as a MAGA person, it might.
You never know.
If you're wearing a MAGA hat.
They target you. Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kash Patel is getting ready next hour to talk about very serious issues about Hunter Biden's tax crimes. Is very amused by this conversation. And we'll have to get his thoughts as well. Real quick, I want to put this up, guys. D5. I've just got a question for the ladies. How do you calm down a trans woman? And this meme says, you need to calm down, sir.
I love it. It's great.
Ladies, final thought?
Never has it ever worked to tell a woman to calm down. However, men do seem to be a little bit more rational. Hey, calm down. And dudes kind of like, yeah, I probably should. But are these trans men they're a little bit irrational themselves.
Trans men are women, so I don't know that would work very well.
I know. They put it on.
Yeah.
And they also put on Skims. Ladies, we appreciate you. We'll see you next Wednesday. Quick break. Karyn's losing it. Quick break. Kash Patel coming up live. We'll talk J6, Hunter Biden, and Skims with the one Kash Patel. To us, the big star would be the real American voices.
Oh, Jesus!
All right, yes. Lost his line there.
That's okay.
A very big thank you to Ed Henry and Karyn Turk and Terrance Bates on America's Sunrise. Watch America's Sunrise.
Good morning, Patriots. Welcome back to this American Sunrise.
Live. Happy Wednesday from West Palm Beach.
All right. Happy Wednesday.
And live from the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains here in our Denver, Colorado studio. So good to see each and every one of you. Had to switch it up a little bit, Ed.
There you go. I love it. Well, last hour we found out that Joe Biden has cured cancer.
That's
great
news.
Said. Now he's saying that maybe about 100 people or so died from COVID. Watch.
And we're still feeling the profound loss of the pandemic, as I mentioned, of over 100 people dead. That's 100 empty chairs around the kitchen table.
Someone going to say something? I mean, over 100 people.
What can you say? Like, somebody needs to do something. This is not good.
You've been saying it for a long time. It's elder trafficking. And you see the man disintegrating before our eyes. And one minute.
All the people around him should be held accountable for this.
Yeah. But you know what? There's part of me that also wonders, okay, since this administration has been involved in misinformation so much, and particularly when it comes to COVID, there's been so much false information given out there. If that wasn't potentially even intentional, obviously anybody with a half a brain knows that it's been well over 100 people who died from COVID. But one almost has to wonder if that was intentional, just to try to shift the narrative and hope that people just kind of believe that and keep moving on.
No, it's a mistake. But the key phrase, you said anybody with half a brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but you're saying he doesn't he's not.
I didn't say that. I was just saying, I noticed that you said anybody with half a brain would know that. So maybe if you
like a scarecrow.
Play it out. Yeah. Finally, some good news for Joe Biden. Let's get to that. We'll put it up. Babylon Bee. Doctors encouraged by how well Biden is sleeping without his CPAP machine, Karyn. There he is in the Oval Office with the Israeli president. There's some good news for the president this morning.
It's Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe.
Who said that? It was Donald Trump, right?
Trump, yeah.
And how about this? A new villain for Gotham? So Perky in our audience put this up. Gotham has a new villain, the Giggler. And that's perfect.
That is perfect.
Because I've got a question. Could Dylan Mulvaney steal a husband? Not the word salad vice president's hubby is what I'm understanding. Watch this video.
And I know that I look like I could steal a husband, but I want to promise you, look me in the eye.
I feel safe with you around. It's fine with me. I admire the confident delusions, though. Keep it up.
It's a pretty good impersonation of the word salad VP.
Yeah,
you ain't telling my hubby.
Yeah, she does a very good impersonation, and the laugh, the cackle is spot on.
But have you noticed how hard various Democrats who have been rumored to potentially want to knock her out and run for president themselves, how hard they work to try to say she's not the word salad vice president, she's really smart. Here's Phil Murphy from New Jersey.
It's frankly offensive. She is an icon. She is an icon in the South Asian community, in the African American community, among millions of women in this country. I frankly think it's offensive, and I think at the end of the day, it's a losing strategy.
Oh, I mean, once Phil Murphy calls her an icon, that's when you know you've really made it.
Yeah, I mean, the entire administration is in tatters right now. I mean, there are calls not only to oust President Biden right now and find a way to get him off the ballot, but also to try to move Kamala Harris out as well. And the big question is, who is going to replace him? Obviously, the name Kennedy is one being floated, but he's also not mainstream Democrat.
No, the establishment Democrats won't allow that.
So I'm curious to watch all of this kind of fallout of all of this.
That's why people are throwing out Michelle Obama's name. And to your point, I saw overnight people floating this video from Donald Trump. Trump was right. He said a couple of years ago, watch, it's not going to be impeachment. Biden, it's going to be 25th Amendment. That they were floating it against Trump, the Democrats. He needs take him out, invoke the 25th Amendment, get him out. And he said, watch, it's going to happen to Biden. And you got to wonder whether the cabinet gets together.
You would have thought that it would have happened already. I was waiting for it to happen 2 months in.
Here we are, and it's only getting worse. Terrance, I know you had a couple of headlines. On the other side, we'll bring in our friend Kash Patel.
All right, the big story today, Hunter Biden expected in court in about an hour from now to plead guilty to misdemeanor tax crimes. Part of the deal includes pretrial diversion for a federal gun charge, allows the first son to avert a felony. The typically quiet Wilmington, Delaware courthouse where today's hearing will happen is expected to be buzzing with activity today. Federal prosecutors say Hunter received at least $1.5 million in income each year in both 2017 and 2018, but didn't pay taxes on that money. He's also accused of lying about his drug usage on a federal gun purchasing form, which is a federal felony. Under the plea agreement, the first son reportedly won't face jail time, but would instead serve probation. New this morning, former Hunter Biden business partner and best friend Devon Archer is reportedly scheduled to testify before the House Oversight Committee on Monday. Earlier this week, you may remember the committee said that Archer could be on Capitol Hill as soon as tomorrow. Archer's testimony about having witnessed President Biden participating in business meetings alongside Hunter Biden, both in person and telephonically, will happen behind closed doors. The committee subpoenaed Archer last month, but until now, there have been a number of delays. Remember, Archer was convicted in a $60 million fraud scheme in New York, along with another Hunter Biden business associate. Hunter, however, has never been charged. And the Biden administration is sending even more of your hard-earned tax dollars to Ukraine. This time, the up to $400 million investment would come in the form of additional military aid. The package includes ammunitions like missiles and Stinger and Javelins. The weapons are reportedly being provided through Presidential Drawdown Authority, which basically allows the Pentagon to quickly take items from its own stockpiles and deliver them to Ukraine. That process often takes days, but it also means that American soldiers will have fewer weapons at their disposal should they need them. The U.S. has sent more than $43 billion in military aid to Ukraine since the war there started about a year and a half ago. That's a quick check of your headlines. Let's get you back to Ed and Karyn now, and of course, Kash Patel. Cash money.
Yeah, there he is. Well, why don't you stick along for the ride? We got some time here. We'll bring in Kash Patel. Kash, first of all, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning.
Hey,
morning,
Kash.
y'all. Thanks for having me back.
I want to put this up from Miranda Devine, guys. E4, scandal in Delaware on the eve, ironically, of this plea deal with Hunter Biden. He's due in court in about 53 minutes. And the judge has given the lawyers till 9 p.m. last night. I guess they tried to explain why they shouldn't be sanctioned. Because basically, in short, Kash, a lawyer on the Hunter legal team called the clerk of the court in Delaware yesterday and said, hey, I'm with the House Republicans and we put this report in with really bad stuff about Hunter and more tax crimes, but we want to pull that back for whatever reason, and misrepresented persons on Hunter's team, lies allegedly, and says I'm with the House Republicans. And the clerk doesn't know the difference, takes this report down. I was talking about this being a bar violation. Karyn's saying, did it break the law? And I think she raises a good question. You're a former federal prosecutor. How dirty is this on the eve of this plea, agreement being ratified? And could it blow up the plea deal?
Yeah, I'd be in prison. It's pretty simple. When you intentionally misrepresent yourself as an officer of the court, whether it's a public defender or federal prosecutor, which I was both, and it's a material misrepresentation, and this clearly was, this lawyer for the defendant goes to the courthouse knowing the proper procedures to appear before the judge and file a motion to withdraw. He lies to the clerk and says, I'm with the GOP. Please pull this down. That is backyard courthouse backroom dealing. And I don't blame the clerk, like you said. This guy or gal, I don't even know which it is.
It's a lady, I believe, yes.
Right.
With the single intention of removing that could have harmed her client. And she could have appealed to the court to do it the appropriate way. It's contempt of court. This judge should halt the proceedings immediately and do a full-scale investigation, which is what a contempt of court charge is, punishable by 5 years in federal prison.
Wow.
Yeah, this is fraud, downright fraud.
Go ahead, Terrance.
Yeah, Kash, so obviously we're hearing that this is a staffer who apparently called in. But what comes to mind, and I'm no legal mind, but I've covered enough cases to where I probably could have a degree. There's no witness here, so it's technically not witness tampering, but there's obviously some sort of tampering because they're trying to deal with the evidence. It seems like they're trying to pull evidence out of the case.
Well, that's absolutely right. You raise a brilliant point. The prosecutors at a normal DOJ would look and see, wait a second, at whose direction did this person act? In concert with whom? Did they have this idea in the middle of the night and they just went over to the courthouse and say, hey, don't tell anyone, I'm doing this alone? I doubt it. And that's where the purpose of a contempt proceeding goes, because the judge doesn't need the Department of Justice. The judge just hauls witnesses in, like this lady and everyone on Hunter Biden's team, and he doesn't get the protections of attorney-client privilege because he has committed a fraud on the court. So we could actually figure out if this judge is an actual judicial officer. This is a singular time where we don't need the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice has no role in it.
Incredible. By the way, I remember a time in our live chat where people would say cash for Attorney General.
VP?
Now they're saying for VP.
Yeah.
Will you, sir?
That's what they're saying in the chat.
Terrance for VP.
No, there we go.
I yield to cash. It's all yours, brother.
There you go. Let's put up on the screen in all seriousness. E17, guys. Cash has this op-ed. Outstanding. It's crackling. I was reading it before bed last night. Daily Caller. Forget about impeaching Biden. It's time for Congress to hold Garland and Wray to account. Why are you saying this, sir?
Yeah, it seems a little counterintuitive, but sure. Impeaching Joe Biden is a cheap political win that's going to go nowhere. What the American people are owed is the job that this DOJ and FBI won't do, because Garland and Wray have weaponized it. So if we impeach the top two judicial officers in the country that are supposed to be executing a single-tier system of justice, you know what happens? We get a trial in the United States House of Representatives where Republicans are the majority, and we get to subpoena the documents, the internal emails, the memorandums, and everything that caused the weaponization and rigging of presidential elections by the destruction of justice and the Hunter Biden investigation. All of it comes out for the world to see, and all cameras would be on that style impeachment. That is the only, people keep asking how we're going to get accountability. It's not by impeaching Joe Biden. It's never going to go anywhere in the Senate. He's never going to be called as a witness, and we're going to get zero evidence of the two-tier system of justice that has allowed his son to walk into court today with lying attorneys into a sweetheart plea deal. We got to go after Garland and Wray.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is that there was just there's nothing. It can't even get any worse than it's getting. When you think it's as bad as it can possibly be, there's cocaine in the White House. There's something else.
And how about this? I'll let you jump in next, Terrance, but the New York Post, let's put it up because we didn't get a chance to get to this last couple of days. Hunter Biden, we know about the art, but specifically now it's spilling out. He sold $1.3 million specifically in art in recent months. One buyer, Cash, was a Democratic donor, quote unquote, friend of Joe, who was, yes, appointed by the president to a prestigious commission. I think this woman has been in and out of the White House about a dozen times. Here's some of the art, by the way. It doesn't look like a Monet, but what do I know? I'm not an art collector. Cash, isn't this more corruption? Democrat donors lining the president's son's pockets? Then he kicked money back to the big guy based on previous actions, by the way. Maybe they pay taxes, maybe they don't. And then you get access to the White House.
Of course it is. And this federal judge has an opportunity to not investigate it as a part of a criminal enterprise, but to say, where are you getting your money from to pay for your lawyers? Because there's going to be court fines, court fees, sanctions. And the judge, remember, under each statute can issue, I think it's up to $100,000 or $200,000 just fine for breaking the law. And so if Hunter Biden's been complaining, I've got no money, I'm poor, but he's got lawyers smoking bongs on rooftops that are paying for his art. He's got other lawyers buying his crappy art. He's got it's basically a kickback scheme. Please give me 7 figures. My dad will reward you with a prestigious board seat in the United States government, which is exactly what happened here. And then he's got other lawyers paying his tax bill outright. So clearly he's got money. And just picture it this way. What if Don Jr. had, during President Trump's time in the White House, painted a picture and then had one of Trump's biggest surrogates pay him $2 million for it? Would we even be having a conversation like this, or would the mainstream media be having a total meltdown about ethics violations, unlawful activity, campaign finance laws, tax evasion, fraud, everything else?
Yeah.
Cash, I'm sorry. I'm curious here. While the judge in the case hearing Hunter Biden's case today obviously will have to focus on the facts as presented in court, it strikes me that she can't be tone deaf, that she's seen the reporting surrounding the other allegations involving Hunter Biden. How much might that influence whether she in fact accepts this plea deal or says, okay, there needs to be more investigation even outside of this courtroom?
So you raise another great point. So in federal court, unlike state court, a federal judge can outright reject a plea. Now, they can't enter into plea negotiations, but any negotiated plea like this one or others, and I've been before federal judges where they've said, I don't care what the DOJ and the public defenders have agreed to. I'm not accepting this plea. And the judge, like you said, not tone deaf, probably very smart, and has been reading the newspapers and watching television and talking to her friends, sees that these investigations from Congress, the whistleblowers, the IRS is now out there, the 1023 that Chuck Grassley put out, sees this overwhelming amount of evidence. And while she can't interfere in the investigative process, she can ask the DOJ to say, hey, U.S. Attorney David Weiss said this investigation of Hunter Biden is still ongoing. Why is this plea agreement in front of me to shut it all down? That's what she should be doing, and she should reject it and force DOJ to come in with answer.
And that is in her purview to do that. She can do that.
She can do that, 100%.
Okay. Oh, wow, okay.
Here's something else that can happen, and Karen's looking at the live chat, so I'll let her weigh in a second, but I want to put this on the table. Roger Stone had a little question. When will 29 SWAT-clad FBI agents brandishing fully automatic M4 assault weapons, you know where this is going, storm Hunter Biden's home at 6 a.m. with CNN in tow? I wonder where Roger got this idea. To arrest him for bribery, money laundering, illegal lobbying, influence peddling, treason, asking for a friend, says Roger. Cash?
Yeah, he only forgot one thing. He forgot the prostitute or somebody else's wife that he's probably going to be in there with and drag them out at 6 a.m. in their nightgown. I mean, this is the, Roger makes a brilliant point in only the way Roger can. I mean, literally, that's what the former DOJ, when James Comey was the head of the FBI, staged that for Roger Stone. Why didn't they do it for Hunter Biden? Where was Joe Biden's, raid of his house in the Delaware Beach area when he was found with reams of classified documents? I mean, it's a two-tier system of justice, and he makes a great point. And, of course, we know the answer. It's not the FBI agents that every day do this job. It's the leadership that is making these decisions from the top.
Yeah, the leadership in the White House is responsible for so much right now. Lack of leadership, you should say. Our chat was going crazy. They were actually, Mama Evans made a great point. If you buy one of Hunter's paintings, do you get free cocaine? And CMC K668 says, go Cash, go get them, go after these gangsters. So.
Greg, by the way, said Cash can do more damage as Attorney General. I think he meant positive damage, like damage to the swamp. And by the way, speaking of leadership, I want to hold up this little blown-up check we have.
There it is.
There was the first $25,000 going from Mailman Media to the Cash Foundation. But for anybody who missed it last week, can you please let us know what's the process? Your website? Are J6 families coming in already? This is just a down payment. There's more money coming. Talk about getting the money to J6 families.
Yeah, it's really simple. Thanks so much, Ed. Brilliant work. Justice for All was the #1 song in America. Go download it. Raising money for Jan 6 families. TheCashFoundation.com. TheCashFoundation.com. There's a grant application where you can sponsor any Jan 6 family. We've got the first installment, thanks to Ed, $25,000. We've already given most of that away. Next week, we're going to give away the rest. But nominate those in need, and we will start giving out this money as Ed and I and others promised we would do. And he's just done a brilliant job. We're so humbled to have his support. TheCashFoundation.com. Let us know who needs money, and we're going to come give it as promised.
And let's not forget, let's start with President Trump, who donated his time to do the song, never asked for $1. People have been writing, social media things saying Trump was grifting and whatnot. Trump's not getting, President Trump, I should say, not Trump. President Trump is not getting $1, never asked for $1. And I have a call today with Tom Homan because we have another nonprofit, Justice for All. He wants to help and make sure we're getting this money out. And another $20,000 just came in the last couple of days for vinyl record sales. That was digital sales. So we're going to talk to you and Tom Homan about getting that money to J6 families. And we hope people still download the song so we raise more money and get it to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Cash, we appreciate it.
Thanks to President Trump. And he's playing it at every rally and every dinner. So thanks, President Trump, for not forgetting the Jan 6 families and not forgetting there's a two-tier system of justice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we appreciate your insight today. We'll all be watching that courtroom in Delaware in just about, about 40 minutes or so? Yeah, about 41 minutes there in Delaware. Is it going to blow up, this plea deal, or what? Because Cash laid out.
Probably not. I mean, come on. They're going to give it to him. In a normal situation, it would blow it up, but not here. It's the Bidens.
He's been skating. By the way, there's justice for all on the way out. Quick break. We're back to Drain the Swamp.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
That's right. That's what Joe's done. 81 million. Oh, that's one of Carrie's great lines. The great Carrie Lake and the Truth Bombers. Check it out. Download it.
You don't want to make a woman angry.
No, absolutely not. I would never do that. So I'm seeing on social media that the Godfather, George Colello, has already posted our segment and we about happy birthday to Goldie Freedom and Goldie, happy birthday. She makes the vest, and the vest you have. And she's saying I should stop sucking up to George, the Godfather, from Board to Ride 45, that Goldie's the real power.
That's
and if I just reach out to her. So I just gave you a happy birthday, and I mentioned it about 3 or 4 times. So I'm looking for the vest. I'm down to a large, I think. I'm not an extra large anymore. Maybe. I'm hopeful. Let's drain the swamp. This is sponsored by Sea of Mud, as you see right there, seaofmud.com. Use that promo code RAV1776, 15% off. Now, Kyle, the great patriot, who's going to join us next Tuesday on the program, is moving from California to Tennessee, said that he's going to pick one lucky Ravager who uses RAV1776 to get a free Trader Joe's, Trader with a T, coffee mug. I would urge him, because we've been talking about it for a couple of days, let's give him 2 or 3 mugs. I mean, let's get more Ravagers. Yeah, come on. It's a great mug. I've got it. I use it often. And it's just great. He's a great patriot. We really appreciate the sponsors and partners who have been with us from the beginning of this great show and this great network.
Yeah, absolutely. Our rap family.
So let's continue to support Real America's Voice. In the meantime, when you talk about draining the swamp does not care about East Palestine. You talk about a patriot, our friend Joe Korff, who works with Ray Simon, raysimon.art. He sent me this Wall Street Journal story a couple of days ago. Karyn, 6 months now since Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed February 3rd along a stretch of homes and businesses there. The cleanup effort goes on, causing a lingering cloud over the town's future. Now, they're talking metaphorically, but literally, the people there in this article, and we've been there twice, so think about that in 6 months, and here's some video from us. Joe Biden still hasn't been there. Kamala Harris still hasn't been there. And I know sometimes I'm beating a dead horse. No, 6 months and not anybody can go. Yeah, Mayor Pete went for a drive-by. Okay, we'll say that. The president and vice president, they don't care because these are Trump people. And we drove by that very area right there as we did our show, right? And I remember
them aerating the water in all of these little canals and us talking about how there's just canal after canal and all these little towns and just, it's traveling everywhere throughout that entire area.
This article in the Journal starts with this guy, Rick, who suits up in chest waders and a full-face respirator to track the iridescent sheen in a creek like that snakes through downtown East Palestine. He's a chiropractor who regularly posts videos online about all this. Quote, there's something in that water that will make you ill, he told the Journal, if you're there too long. He and his wife now plan to move from their home. He says he's gotten rashes and vertigo. We talked to people their children had rashes all over their body, and that's been a couple of months now since we've been there. I just want to keep it out there, and I appreciate Joe Korff as a great patriot for wanting, he's from the great state of Ohio, so this matters to him, and it should matter to every American.
Absolutely. Yeah, this could be your hometown.
But why doesn't it matter to the president?
Because they don't care about America.
Maybe that's sadly the right answer. In the meantime, Gateway Pundit has this story. Why is the swamp not speaking up on this? Journalist fighting to obtain Nashville shooter manifesto receives chilling death threat. Quote, I'll go to prison to end you. This is a journalist, radio talk show host Michael Patrick Leahy, as you see, has filed a lawsuit to get that manifesto released. Now, the point here, Karyn, this was a couple months back in Nashville, this Christian school, this awful tragedy, and the left talks about school shootings all the time, and we should care about every single school shooting, every child who's killed. And yet, these children at the Christian school, there's a manifesto where it was a trans shooter. And people want to know about the manifesto to see, well, what was going wrong in this person's life? Was there a mental illness, as you talk about all the time? But the left wants to cover that up. Because then they say, wait, maybe all these sex changes, maybe we're breeding new potential shooters.
What was in that manifesto? Why do they want to cover it up?
Well, do you think if this shooter said, I love Donald Trump, do you think we would have already read that manifesto on CNN?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course.
You think that's a pretty good chance, right? I want to apologize to Secretary Mayorkas. I say tongue-in-cheek. Because we've said he has no plan to fix the border. He now tells us he does have a plan to fix the border. He, early in his tenure, banned the term illegal alien. So he thinks if you deal with language, this will solve the problem. Watch.
We, in the Department of Homeland Security, I issued a memo very early on that we would not use the term illegal alien. When speaking of these individuals, we use the term non-citizen.
Non-citizens, Karyn, that might solve the problem. I mean, I think building a wall might do more to solve the problem.
I mean, but they don't believe in law and order. Law and order? What laws? Illegal? There's no such thing as illegal when you allow people to break the law.
I ban the term illegal alien. What will that do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Thank you. Let's also look at this real quick. Some Democrat cities. Jack Posobiec, I hope you're watching him at 2 p.m. Eastern. Every single weekday. Random violent crime has skyrocketed in Washington, D.C. Robberies up 59%. Violent crime up 36%. Now, Karyn, we continue to hear the left and the folks in the swamp, even some of the Rhino Republicans, say, well, Trump exaggerates the crime wave that he talked about in 2020 and beyond. But look at that. Robberies up 59%. Violent crime up 36%. How can they try to tell us these numbers lie, and somehow it's safer in Washington?
What was the stat we showed the other day about Chicago? The carjackings are up like 159?
60%, right. I think you're absolutely right. Yep. Real quick, let's look at Los Angeles and put up this tweet. Libs of TikTok gets credit for this. This is the streets of Los Angeles right now as Joe Biden sends billions of our tax dollars This is Los Angeles. We played a clip last week of Hollywood, obviously in Los Angeles. Kids at a school have to walk over this kind of filth and everything with homeless and drugs. This is another part of Los Angeles, obviously. And it's just the sheer number of people, the graffiti, the filth, the drugs that we all know about. And Gavin Newsom's the governor and wants to maybe run for president someday.
Yeah, that's unbelievable, but not surprising under this administration.
Yeah, good luck with that. In the meantime, let's turn to the economic news, and they're sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
And there we are. He's not just a spokesman. He's also a future member of AMAC as well. He's getting closer and closer to that birthday. Terrance Bates, our money man. The bell's about to ring. The Dow futures have been pretty red. Down. So we'll have to see why Wall Street, and there's the bell, and the markets are now open. The Dow's down about 111 points. S&P down moderately, about 8 or 9 points. NASDAQ down 21 points. Terrance?
Yeah, we got a full day ahead to try to turn that around. And happening this week, the House Financial Services Committee is scheduled to vote on several bills that would create a regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. The debate is considered a significant step towards oversight of the largely unregulated digital asset industry. One of the bills would define when a cryptocurrency is a security or a commodity. Another bill would establish a regulatory body to oversee stable coins and other digital tokens that are typically backed by traditional currencies like the U.S. dollar. The debate and potential vote in the full House marks the first time that crypto regulatory bills will be put to a vote in Congress. All of this, of course, happening on the heels of thousands of Americans and investors around the world losing their shirts last year due to collapses of crypto exchanges Celsius Network, Voyager Digital, and FTX, among others. We are now days away from the Durban Accords, which is expected to be announced next month. It's widely seen as the greatest threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance in the past 80 years. The BRICS nations, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are pushing the launch of a new international supercurrency fully backed by gold or other commodities. About 40 other countries are reportedly trying to join BRICS. This is all part of a long-term plan to supplant the U.S. and the dollar as cornerstones of the global financial system. So, how can you protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark announcement? Well, the answer is diversifying into gold with the Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which of course is right now. So get a free information kit on gold IRAs and decide for yourself if a tax-sheltered retirement account backed by physical precious metals is right for you. It's as simple as texting the word America to the number 989898. There's a monumental shift happening right now among nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP, and the talks are underway as we speak. So arm yourself with information to protect your retirement savings, and you can do so simply by texting the word America to the number 989898 and claiming your free information kit on gold from the Birch Gold Group. That's a quick check of your financial and economic headlines.
Terrance, appreciate you as always. Let's hear from some real American voices. Our friend Big Slim there in Ohio. He had to say, beautiful suit the other day there, Big Sexy. I got your back. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Ed. He has some sort of a character in green there. I think he liked that green suit.
It's like a Guardians of the Galaxy thing, I think.
Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
All right. How about this from Capone, 1955? This was posted in a small town in Arizona, Payson, Arizona, or as we say, Carizona, right? And yeah, trying that in a small town. Around here, we take care of our own. And they're thinking about Carrie Lake.
Absolutely, and they're the Jason Aldean song reference. But the Carrie Lake song is still going strong, too, 81 million votes.
We got to love that. You want to get to the next one?
Sure, I could do that. This is Jed Idoc. Says, Ed Henry, in 2009, I wrote a bicycle tour fundraiser with a man 65 plus who had emigrated from Germany. He complained that he had left communism only to see a communist president. I knew he was right, but I thought things couldn't get much worse. How wrong I was.
Terrance, you grew up in Germany. Isn't that an interesting little post? That was in the Obama days, and now they're saying, boy, I thought that was bad.
Absolutely, and I suspect this guy probably grew up in East Germany, which, of course, probably if he's 65, growing up, that would have been the communist part of Germany. But times have definitely changed, and a lot of people here in the United States dealing with the reality they never thought possible here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we never thought possible, no.
All right, well, we're going to talk about that that reality, no longer a possibility, with Sam Sorbo in a minute. But first, we got Jay Webbs, I guess. Let's call him Jay Webbs. Joe Weber with his 60-second sunrise coming up live from Washington. He's a fan favorite. And then the wonderful Sam Sorbo. Forget about Kevin. We want to talk to Sam. She's going to talk about the new movie they're putting out together, Sam and Kevin and a whole great team. And we're also going to talk about homeschooling right after this. The judge wants to talk. Hopefully the judge has something to say about some of the fraud that was going on last night right before this.
Maybe, but, you know, it's
calling the
doubtful.
court, lying about who they are. We shall see. 2 tiers of justice. How about that? Let's get to a 60-second sunrise. Yeah, this is where we check in with Just the News, justthenews.com. Our friend Joe Weber, or Jay Webbs, as they say in our live chat on Getter. I want to get to some serious news, but right now the chat is full of people with the hashtag, where is the bow tie? And I don't see one. Is there a purchase
I'll go
that
shopping.
might happen? Yeah?
I will go shopping after the hit. I will go downtown, right across the street, Brooks Brothers.
There we go.
Okay.
Brooks Brothers.
Great. Perfect.
We're looking forward to it. Can you tie your own, or are you going to get a pre-made?
I don't think I could tie my own, but there's always, you know, the Google for nerds how to do it, and I think I'll probably try that first, right?
There we go. All right, Joe, let's get serious. Just the News has to scoop up there. We're going to put it up. Republican election clerks hit with lawsuits and recall votes for actions in the 2020 presidential race. What's going on here, sir?
Yeah, so good story by our colleague there, Natalia Mittelstadt. Republican county clerks across the country facing lawsuits and other consequences for their actions during the 2020 elections. They say they're simply trying to preserve some of the election data to prevent fraud, or at least exposure to fraud. I think most people are familiar with Tina Peters. Remember her? She was the county clerk and recorder in Mesa County there in Colorado. She's being charged with 7 felonies for allegedly trying to copy a hard drive. She's pleaded not guilty. And again, she just said she was trying to preserve some of the election documentation before software was changed on that. And here's a name that you guys might be less familiar with, Stan Grott. He's a county clerk in Michigan, Shelby County. He's one of 16 Republicans being charged with felonies for submitting what they say were false certified election certificates. They claim President Trump, at that time he was the incumbent, won the state, and they were the legitimate electoral college electors. So each are facing 8 criminal charges. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like... Yeah, real quick, I apologize, but President Trump's been on Truth Social the last couple of days saying if you raise questions about 2020, they want to put you in jail like him.
Yeah, of course.
But if you just kind of cover up the fraud, you look the other way, it's all fine. You're all innocent. Now, the way I read what you're reporting, if you were a Republican election official in a battleground state and you were trying to preserve records, which I think you should do, they want to sue you because, they want to...
Because they don't want the truth to come out.
They don't want the truth to come out. Maybe if they pressure you, you will not be as vigilant in 2024. That's just my take. Final thought?
Yeah, he's essentially summarized the argument much better than I did, so hats off to him. Right. And one other point in our reporting is that we might have missed something, but not a single Democrat county clerk has been charged for anything in this, and we looked hard.
Well, wait, so they're attacking Republicans who are trying to get the truth.
Right, but it's two-tiered justice system.
Democrats don't face any lawsuits on this. Interesting point by you, Joe. I'm going to have to study and try to figure out why only one side is being targeted. Joe Weber, we appreciate it. We look forward to see what you're wearing tomorrow. In the meantime, let's get to 2024. It's getting saucy. Yeah, this is sponsored by Red State Barbecue. Some great Patriots in Lexington, Kentucky. Might be a little red dot among some blue. They got Big Blue there, the big basketball team, Coach Cal and all the rest. But a lot of great Patriots down there. And the bird rub you love so much, right? You say you put it not just on meat,
a lot of different
pasta,
things. Macaroni and cheese.
There you go. The sauces are great. Texas spicy is particularly good. The Kentucky bourbon. Check them out. They're great Patriots, Red State Barbecue. Use that promo code, and you're going to get 10% off. As we steam closer and closer to the 2024 election, there's a new movie coming out. I want to make sure that you know about it because it's coming, I believe, this fall, and it's called Miracle in East Texas. I got a little preview of it. Here's yours.
So this is Texas. Very flat.
I just believe the hand of Providence has been guiding our every step. We're going to hit oil right here on your plate.
Doc Boyd and Daniel. While they weren't much good at actually finding or drilling for oil, they both possessed an unusual facility for convincing people that they could do just that.
Oil! I've never felt it so strong in all my life!
Widows were the mother's milk of the petroleum hustle.
Love is not times full.
And now that they had a well, it was time to hit every widow they could find in a 3-county radius.
This well, we can't bring it in. We've already sold close to 500%.
Yeah, so?
You can only have 100% of anything. I just wanted to be square with you because I care for you, man. Give you back the $1,000 I took.
That you swindled from other widows. I don't want you here. I want you out of my house.
We got to take what we got.
Yeah, there's a Sorbo influence there. Did you catch that? You got to love it. Multiple Sorbos. And let's bring in live our friend Sam Sorbo. Good morning. Welcome back. It looks like it's going to be a fun film, fun for the whole family. Good morning.
I love telling stories that are historic, and this is actually a historical story. It's the story of the East Texas oil strike, which was at the time the largest oil strike in the history of the world. And it was a lot of fun to make. I really want to encourage people, go to sorbostudios.com and sign up for our newsletters and help us spread the word about this movie. We're small independent producers, and so we need all the help we can get.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. I love seeing the two of you together, so that's wonderful.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to run through a lot of different things. Hunter Biden's in the news today. He's about to go into court in a few minutes. You posted this a couple days ago. The left wants porn in schools, but not in Congress when it's pictures of Hunter with prostitutes. They came down like a ton of bricks on Marjorie Taylor Greene because she posted, they were kind of racy photos, but they're true. They're from the Hunter laptop. And the left lost their mind, but they want to put those kind of photos in our kids' books in school. Please help us make sense of that.
Yeah, if you scroll up on my Twitter feed, you'll see a couple of other images that I've posted that are from books for children in school. One of my tweets talks about, I don't even want to say the word, but scissoring, and the images, and they've got little drawings for children to look at. But when MTG brings it into Congress, it's like, oh my goodness, it's so offensive to our sensibilities. It's like, but you put this stuff in front of kids every day. So I really want to encourage parents. What they are doing in our schools is not education. So don't think that you're sending your children to school to get an education, and then don't send your children to school. And I want to tell people homeschooling is not nearly as hard as you think, and it's a lot more rewarding than you ever imagined. The reason that you think it's so hard and so awful is because that's what the school people have told you to believe, so that you would send your children to them.
Yeah, another reason to homeschool right there.
Absolutely. Another reason might be another social media post I caught where you were making fun of Common Core math. I want to put that up so people can understand. Here you go, Common Core math. So this was European scientists' publication, air pollution. 38,000 deaths per year worldwide, including 48,000 in France. I remember in school, if the first number should have been higher than the lower. What are people learning, not just here in America, but over there in Europe?
Well, I think, you talked about a two-tiered justice system. I think we have a two-tiered humanity system. So French people count for fewer people worldwide or something. With due respect, somebody pointed out that apparently the article itself was pointing out that the European the people who did the study were having that problem with their own numbers. But still, I would put that in a headline because you're going to be ridiculed.
I mean, I think that not only illustrates what's wrong with math right now, but also what's wrong with science. Right. We can't trust the science anymore either.
And we can't trust the unions. Guys, Fauci is the science. Guys, if we can jump to G12, this op-ed that you posted about the National Education Association is an enemy of teachers and families. This is written by Rebecca Fredericks. You can see there. Truly devoted teachers who put the interests of innocent kids above the political agenda are listed among the NEA's enemies. We've been crying out for decades seeking relief, but almost no one listens. You've studied this closely. You have been, as we were talking a moment ago, an advocate for homeschooling. Talk about this crisis in America right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate for teachers also, but the teachers' hands are tied by a system that actually seeks to abuse children. I mean, they hurt children in the schools today with all of the sexual ideology that they're training them in, and social emotional learning, and all of these different things. We have to be very careful, and there are a lot of teachers that are trapped in there. And Rebecca's a friend of mine. She wrote this article. It's a brilliant article. I encourage people to read it because she's making the case that there are some really great teachers out there who are the enemy now of the National Educators Association, which is the very powerful lobbying union that is working on behalf of not those teachers, working on behalf of basically the Communist Party. And so we ought to be a little bit more cognizant of that. And I just, I support her work. She's been working very hard on the front lines inside the schools. I just want to save children from the schools. So get your kids out of school. Go to samstorbo.com. I have all the information there to help you. It's just not as hard as you think.
It's not as hard as you think. And I have to say, as a homeschool parent, I never thought I would be homeschooling ever in a million trillion years. And it's been hard, but with the support of people like you and others around me, I've been able to do it. So, there's that.
That's great. I'm glad to hear your story. And Sam, you've been an advocate. Now, I hope you take this in the spirit I mean it, because we only tease the ones we love. I said on the show a couple of weeks ago that I felt like God sent you to me because you brought your daughter to lunch with me on a weekend when I was struggling with something. And we had a wonderful lunch. but I don't know if I told this part. In the run-up, you asked a lot of questions of the waiter about gluten-free bread and can you do the onion separate? And you had a lot of questions, very much more particular than I expected. And I thought you were going to order something very, hoity-toity or something. And then you said, can I get the cheeseburger and fries? So I'm trying to understand the logic.
I have allergies. I'm probably worse than the girl on When Harry Met Sally. And so I try to make it simple for waiters, but I love cheeseburger and fries. If they can do it without seasoning, I'm good. So yeah.
All American.
Yeah.
You know why? She's a patriot, and she's our friend. Best to Kevin and the whole family. Your daughter was wonderful to meet. We appreciate it. Go to samsorbo.com and make sure you check out that film. We can't wait to see it. Miracle in East Texas. Sorbo Films. Make sure you support them. Great people.
Great, yeah. Can't wait.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll spill some tea. Getting closer and closer to Hunter being in court. Can't wait to see those photos. I bet the war room will be all over that next time.
Right now. I can't afford the groceries. I can't afford your gas. It's
Download and stream. Don't use it. Let's be clear. Download and stream it. That's a lot better. Live chat still crackling. Cowpuck, our friend. Karyn, way to go. MAGA fist bump. I guess that's almost like MAGA dittos from the late Rush Limbaugh, I'm assuming because you've homeschooled your son.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. More people need to do it. Absolutely. Inspire.
There you go. An inspiration. And Sam Sorbo and you both are. Time to spill some tea, shall we? Yeah, this is sponsored by the Artillery Tea Company. Go to Artillery Tea Co. and make sure you're supporting this great patriotic company. Promo code RAV, of course, for 10% off. The morning mother of all bombs is still the best in terms of getting your day going. They got the decaf version, as you see right here, but they have the fully caffeinated version as well. The chamomile, the green tea, you can do it. You serve it hot. You can serve it iced. It's pretty darn It's pretty hot in Florida right now.
It is hot. It's really hot.
I didn't realize this because I had a bunch to do and I had a lot of calls yesterday. So I was walking for miles.
Yeah.
I walked for like 150 minutes yesterday. And when I got home, I realized drenched. And I'm sure you're feeling that all around this great country, whether you're in the great state of Texas or here in the free state of Florida or New York or pretty much anywhere right now.
Anywhere.
Yeah. So let's spill some tea, shall we? Because I mentioned the free state of Florida. Did you see this in Pompano Beach? Not far between us between here and Miami. 63-year-old man was viciously attacked after he asked a couple to leave his pre-booked movie theater seat. So he had booked this seat. They would not leave the seat. He was transported to the hospital with injuries to his head and face. And this was a couple of days ago that people were still looking for the suspect. This is why, it's interesting because I saw people reacting to this. Here's some video. Look at it. Is that, people were reacting online and saying, and you want to know why people just want to stream stuff now? I mean, it was a COVID thing, and then the aftermath. Now they're streaming the news at Real America's Voice.
Look how nonchalantly these people are walking through the hallway after this.
I just beat someone in the face. He's 63 years old. And what was the man's crime? 63-year-old man pre-booked his seat. And somebody else wanted to sit in it. Why can't folks get along and be kind? Let me put this one up, and then we'll get some reaction from Terrance as well. You sent this to me from Hawaii. This was a Home Depot. Thieves cut locks and walk out with more than $3,000 worth of tools from the Home Depot there in Hawaii. Apparently, the man in orange has done this at the spot more than 10 times. And the store manager said they can't call the cops because it's, Terrance talked about this yesterday, against their work rules. So the guy can come in practically every day, and you see it all piled up. So he picked, okay, this thing's expensive. I'm going to get 6 or 7 of those.
And he's probably reselling them on Amazon or eBay or somewhere else.
And Terrance, you said it yesterday, the insurance company's going to cover it, so don't get in the middle of it. And then some of these big box chains are going out. The drugstores in San Francisco have lock and key on the ice cream. This is insanity.
But as you know, it all goes downhill. So these guys steal the stuff. Yeah, the insurance companies may cover it, and so there's no real cost to the store. But you, the consumer, you, the customer, ultimately end up paying because somebody still has to foot the bill for all that other stuff. So they raise the prices, and you end up having to pay more. It's just a shame. It's a vicious cycle.
I mean, look at Bidenflation already. We're already struggling. Then you pile that on top.
It's crazy. I think we need something uplifting. This thing's kind of funny. Let's get the sunny side up. So think back. It was only a few years ago when the left, even the late night talk show hosts who hate Trump now, hate him, they actually loved him. They were kissing his butt. They were having fun with him. Here's Donald Trump just a few years back with Jimmy Kimmel.
All right, winners aren't losers by Donald J. Trump. Winners aren't losers. They're winners, like me. A loser's a loser. Which one will you be? Winners do deals and winners get rich, while sad little losers just sit there and bitch.
Could be a big seller.
My daughter loves it. The dog is a loser, and frankly, I pity it. This dog did bad deals. This dog is an idiot. And poor Mr. Bear, he must feel like a loser, valeting that 2006 PT Cruiser. This lobster's a loser. Throw him in the pot. I like a lobster who doesn't get caught. Those losers are failures who get nothing done. Just do what I do and you'll be number one. Now, here are some frogs I do not like at all. We must kick these frogs out and then build a wall. Oh, the places you'll go on your yacht, on your plane, with your suits from Milan and your wives from Ukraine. Oh, the buildings you'll build, oh, the wealth you'll amass, oh, the people around you all kissing your ass. There are 2 kinds of people. Which one will you be? A loser like them? Would you like to finish? Or a winner?
Like me.
Donald Trump, everybody.
Like me.
Always a classic. That was amazing.
Terrance?
That is pretty good. I want to be a winner, too.
Yeah, but think about it. Trump's laughing. Kimmel's laughing. The audience is laughing. They loved him. Before all of a sudden, he started changing the country for the better. And then Patriots will see you tomorrow morning.